So I don't usually do this, but I'm going to make a follow-up here to the video I made on Frankie Boyle, Scottish comedian. Um, I always know making a video about a public figure is likely to get mixed responses. But I have to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised and frankly disappointed by some of my subscribers who rushed to defend Boyle. And I don't think they really listened to what I was saying. Or if they did, I just think it's a pity that we have a different point of view on that. Let's see, we'll try and get good lighting here. Um, I certainly don't expect people to agree with me on every subject. That would make me a little bit of a mini dictator, and that would be absurd. Just one thing about that video, though. A few people claim that I've been blocking likes and comments or something. I'll check my settings, but I honestly don't know what you're talking about because I haven't changed anything on that video from my other videos. I mean, the comments are there; you can see them. And if I've responded to you, you'll know that your comment's there, because otherwise, how would I have been able to see your comment? So I haven't blocked comments, and as far as I know, I haven't blocked likes and dislikes. I may have done it inadvertently. I'll have a check, but I haven't changed the settings any more than I have than other videos. Very, very occasionally I do block comments, and I've already made a video explaining why. But anyway, I just want to get a little bit deeper into this. Like I say, this wasn't really a planned video, but I feel it merits a response. Because a few of you defended Boyle by saying that he raises social issues. Issues like poverty, Tory austerity, and so on. That's all very well, but I frankly think what's going on with some of you, I'm going to say this candidly, I think you're being, frankly, a little bit starstruck. I think you're taking into this celebrity cult thing because you're not sort of allowing yourselves to think critically. You're not allowing yourselves to sort of think, well, maybe there are aspects of Frankie Boyle that are less savoury because you agree with his politics. So maybe you agree with some of his left wing viewpoints. Maybe you agree that Scotland should be independent. I think that's what's going on. So because you agree with his political ideology, you're kind of turning a blind eye to the points that I'm critiquing. There's Scottish nationalists who would actually agree with me. I mean, take Nicola Sturgeon for instance. I'm sure she has no time for his gutter humour. I'm just making the point that it isn't just about politics; it's about values, and I think that Boyle is, in my opinion, crossing a line. When he talks about when he takes cheap shots at breast cancer, and he uses specific examples. I believe it was Angelina Jolie. When he targets children who can't defend themselves, i.e., Katie Price's son Harvey, um, I just think that's crossing a line. And frankly, the line, I'm not saying anyone in my comment section said this, but sometimes you hear this, oh, have a sense of humour. No, that doesn't wash because you cannot impose your sense of humour onto other people. You cannot demand that other people see the funny side. Just for the record, I haven't called for Frankie Boyle to be banned or censored or anything like that, but I do defend the right to criticise him. Comics aren't above scrutiny. They're not above, they're not immune to critique more than other public figures are. Why should they be? Is he witty or not? I think he's witty enough. I'll give him that, but only to an extent. And it isn't just that I don't share a sense of humor. I think that a lot of it is just. I think, and it isn't just Frankie Boyle. There are other comics out there, and it's like shock for shock's sake. So what he will do is find the most taboo subject and just try to shock people. I don't think that's particularly smart. Certainly, it's offensive, and he knows that, and he knows that people like me will, not like it. But I don't waste my time watching his shows. I've seen enough in order to make this video, in order to say what I think of him, because I couldn't have not seen anything and criticized someone that I haven't, just by second-hand opinions. I've seen enough of his sketches to know what he's all about, but I also, don't give him the honor of watching his crap, because that's what I think it is. I think it's sick humor, but not in a good way. I think you can have dark humor. I think you can have satire, which can be risky. But I think there's a difference between satire and being risky versus just being cruel. I think Boyle is a bully. And I don't care what he's like in private life. I've heard some of his apologists say this. Oh, he's a really nice guy when he's not doing a stand up routine. But if you're in the public eye, you're going to be judged by your persona in the public eye. I mean, I've said the same thing about Gordon Ramsay. I also have contention with Gordon Ramsay. I do not see what is entertaining about someone yelling in people's faces. And let's face it, a lot of people tune into Gordon Ramsay shows not because they want to see his cooking techniques, but because they hope that he'll blow a casket with someone, that he will yell in their face. Be honest with yourselves. That's why you're watching it. So, frankly, I think people can attack me and say, oh, who are you to criticize these guys? But I think you're being hypocrites. Ask yourselves a question. Why are you defending them? If you're defending Gordon Ramsay, are you really defending the fact he's a very talented chef? And he is. I give him that. I'm sure his food tastes wonderful. But is that really the reason you're defending him? Or deep down, do you know that you just enjoy watching people get yelled at? It makes for good TV. In which case, just be honest about it. So I think, frankly, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the apologists, in the cheerleaders, in the fanboys and fangirls. No public figure is immune from critique, and you cannot demand that. You cannot. I mean, what I find funny is, I'm just a regular Joe. I'm not famous. So why do you feel the need to gravitate to my video if you're, maybe it's because you're a long time subscriber and you disagree with me on this, in which case, fair enough. But if you're coming to the video and you don't know who I am and you just want to defend these people, then I find that interesting because, they're going to have millions of views on their videos. Do you really think they need you to defend them? I don't think so. But all I would say is I mean, if you're going to defend Boyle because he raises social concerns, okay. But I would ask you to at least be open minded enough to accept that a lot of people see that sort of humor as crossing a line. And I would ask you, I would challenge you, in fact. You're saying that people should have a sense of humor and he tests the boundaries. What if he was testing the boundaries with your family? Can you answer that question? This is why I think a lot of fanboys and fangirls are hypocrites of the likes of Frankie Boyle, because they will defend him so long as it's not them that are the target. If he was making jokes about your family, let's say a relative of yours was suffering from breast cancer or had severe mental health problems or any of the other things that Boyle has targeted, would you really be laughing and saying, oh, he's witty? He's witty. No, I think you'd be saying he's a piece of shit, to put it bluntly. This is a man who is making his fame and fortune through being little better than a schoolyard bully. I don't think there's anything to respect about that. I think you could be a witty comic. I think you can use satire. And I think there's this country has a very long history of powerful satire, but there's strong satire which is mocking the powerful that isn't crossing lines that just shouldn't be crossed, like bringing the family into it. You know, if Frankie Boyle was having a go at Theresa May or the Queen or other powerful figures, that would be legitimate because they're in a position of power. But he doesn't. He targets their families. I'm not saying those specifically, but just public figures. And again, I challenge his fans. I challenge those of you who came to my video to criticize my take on this. I challenge you. Can you honestly, hand on heart, say you would be defending Boyle if he was targeting your family? I don't think you would. Deep down, I don't think you would. So those are just a few things to think about. But frankly, you can attack me on this, but two things. A, that personal thing, would you be defending him if he was targeting your family? And B, would you defend it if he had different type of politics? I know a few of you who commented that. I know because I've seen your comments before. You're of a left wing persuasion, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I ask you this: if Frankie Boyle was a conservative, would you be defending him? I don't think you would. So you're being blinded by your political biases there. So I don't change anything I've said about that. I do think Frankie Boyle is a very unpleasant character. I've no respect for him, zero. I accept that he's been successful, but to me that's just a sad indictment that there is an aspect of our society that kind of tolerates bullies as long as they're in the public eye. You know, we frown and look down on and criticize bullies when they're not in the public eye, yet when somehow they're in the public eye, whether that be Frankie Boyle or Gordon Ramsay, they somehow get seen as inspiring. The point I would make is there's plenty of successful comics and plenty of successful chefs who don't need to use that shock value to do what they do. So I don't buy into this theory that being obnoxious leads to success. I think it can get attention. I accept that. That's why shock jocks do well on radio. But the idea that that's the only way to get success, that really is a depressing, dystopian sort of blueprint for the future. And look, I'm not talking about, I don't expect comics to be really squeaky clean. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's just some things as a decent human being you should recognize just goes beyond the line.